남았을 때 Mark chapter 14. Now the Passover and the unleavened bread was 2 yomim later, and the chief priests and the scribes were seeking how to take him through treachery and put him to death. And they said, Not at the festival, lest there be an uproar of the people. And while he was in Beit Aniah, in the house of Shimon the leper, and sitting at the table, an usher came having an alabaster flask of perfume, genuine nard, very costly. And breaking the flask, she poured it on his head. But there were some who were much displeased among themselves, and said, Why was this perfume wasted? For it could have been sold for more than 300 pieces of silver and given to the poor. And they were scolding her. But Yah-ooh-sha said, Leave her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has performed a good deed for me. For you have the poor with you always, and you are able to do good to them whenever you wish. But you do not always have me. What she had, she used. She took it beforehand to anoint my body for the burial. Truly I say to you, wherever this Bethsorah is proclaimed in all the world, what this Asha did shall also be spoken of to her remembrance. And Yehuda from Kerioth, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to deliver him up to them. And when they heard it, they were glad, and promised to give him silver. And he was seeking how to deliver him up conveniently. And on the preceding yom of unleavened bread, when they were slaughtering the Passover lamb, his Talmidim said to him, Where do you wish us to go and prepare for you to eat the Passover? And he sent out 2 of his Talmidim and said to them, Go into the city, and there a man bearing a jug of water shall meet you. Follow him. And wherever he enters, say to Adoni of the house, The teacher says, Where is the guest room in which I am to eat the Passover with my Talmidim? And he shall show you a large upper room, furnished, ready. Prepare for us there. And his Talmidim went out and came into the city, and found it as he said to them. And they prepared the Passover. And dusk having come, he came with the 12. And as they sat and ate, Yah-ooh-sha said, Truly I say to you, one of you who is eating with me shall deliver me up. And they began to be grieved, and to say to him one by one, Is it I? And another, Is it I? And he answering said to them, It is one of the 12, he who is dipping with me in the dish. The son of Adam is indeed going, as it has been written of him, but woe to that man by whom the son of Adam is delivered up. It would have been good for that man if he had not been born. And as they were eating, Yah-ooh-sha took bread, having blessed it, broke it, gave it to them, and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And taking the cup, giving thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. And he said to them, This is my blood, that of the renewed covenant, which is shed for many. Truly I say to you, I shall certainly no more drink of the fruit of the vine, till that yom when I drink it anew in the reign of Yahuwah. And having sung a song, they went out to the Mount of Olives. And Yah-ooh-sha said to them, All of you shall stumble in me this Lila, for it has been written, I shall strike the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. But after I am raised, I shall go before you to Galilee. And Kepha said to him, Even if all shall stumble, yet not I. And Yah-ooh-sha said to him, Truly I say to you that today this Lila, before the rooster shall crow twice, you shall deny me 3 times. But he spoke more strongly, If I have to dine with you, I shall not deny you. And they all said the same. And they came to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to his Talmidim, Sit here while I pray. And he took with him Kepha and Yakub and Yahuchanan. And he began to be greatly tormented, and to be greatly distressed. And he said to them, My being is exceedingly grieved, even to death. Stay here and watch. And he went on a little, and fell on the ground, and was praying that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all is possible for you. Make this cup pass from me, yet not what I desire, but what you will. And he came and found them sleeping, and said to Kepha, Shimon, are you sleeping? You are not able to watch 1 hour. Watch and pray, lest you enter into trial. The ruach indeed is eager, but the flesh is weak. And again he went away and prayed, and spoke the same words. And having returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. And he came the 3rd time and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? It is over. The hour has come. See, the son of Adam is being delivered up into the hands of the sinners. Rise up, let us go. See, he who is delivering me up has drawn near. And right then, while he was still speaking, Yehuda, one of the 12, with a large throng with swords and clubs, came from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders, and the one who was delivering him up had given them a cue. saying, "Whomever I kiss, it is he. Seize him and lead him away safely." And going straight up to him, he said to him, "Rabbi, Rabbi," and kissed him. And they laid their hands on him and seized him. And one of those standing by drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, and cut off his ear. And Yah-ooh-sha answering said to them, "Have you come out as against a robber, with swords and clubs to take me? Daily I was with you in the Kodesh place teaching, and you did not seize me, but let the scriptures be filled." And they all left him and fled. And a certain young man was following him, having a linen sheet thrown around his nakedness. And when they seized him, he left the linen sheet and fled from them naked. And they led Yah-ooh-sha away to the high priest. And all the chief priests and the elders and the scribes came together to him. And Kepha followed him at a distance, even into the courtyard of the high priest. And he was sitting with the officers and warming himself at the fire. And the chief priests and all the council were seeking witness against Yah-ooh-sha to put him to death. And they were finding none. For many bore malicious witness against him, but their evidences did not agree. And some rose up and bore malicious witness against him, saying, "We heard him saying, I shall destroy this Mishkan that is made with hands, and within 3 yomim I shall build another made without hands." And not even then did their witness agree. Then the high priest stood up in the middle and asked Yah-ooh-sha, saying, "Have you no answer to make? What do these witness against you?" But he remained silent and gave no answer. Again the high priest asked him, saying to him, "Are you the Mashiach, the son of the Blessed?" And Yah-ooh-sha said, "I am, and you shall see the son of Adam sitting at the right hand of Yahuwah, and coming with the clouds of the heaven." And tearing his garments, the high priest said, "What further need do we have of witnesses? You have heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" And they all condemned him to be liable to death. And some began to spit on him, and to blindfold him, and to beat him, and to say to him, "Prophesy." And the officers struck him with the palms of their hands. And as Kepha was below in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came, and seeing Kepha warming himself, she looked at him and said, "And you are with Yah-ooh-sha of Nazareth." But he denied it, saying, "I do not know nor understand what you are saying." And he went out onto the porch, and a rooster crowed. And the servant girl saw him again, and began to say to those who stood by, "This is one of them." And again he was denying it. And after a little while, those who stood by again said to Kepha, "Truly you are one of them, for you are a Galilean too, and your accent is alike." And he began to curse and swear, "I do not know this man of whom you speak." And a second time the rooster crowed. And Kepha remembered the word that Yah-ooh-sha had said to him, "Before the rooster crows twice, you shall deny me 3 times. And thinking on it, he wept. Chapter 15. And immediately in the morning the chief priests had a dialogue with the elders and scribes and all the council. Having bound Yah-ooh-sha, they led him away and delivered him to Pilate. And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Yahudim?" And he answering said to him, "You said it." And the chief priests accused him of much, but he made no answer. And Pilate again asked him, saying, "Have you no answer? See how much they witness against you." But Yah-ooh-sha still gave no answer, so that Pilate marveled. And at a festival he released to them one prisoner, whomever they were asking. And there was one called Barabbas, chained with his fellow rebels, who had committed murder in the uprising. And the throng, crying aloud, began to ask, as he had always done for them. But Pilate answered them, saying, "Do you wish me to release for you the king of the Yahudim?" For he knew that the chief priests had handed him over because of envy. And the chief priests stirred up the throng, that he should rather release Barabbas to them. And Pilate answered and again said to them, "What then do you wish me to do to whom you call the king of the Yahudim?" And again they cried out, "Impale him." And Pilate said to them, Why? What evil has he done?" And they vehemently cried out, "Impale him." And Pilate, wishing to satisfy the throng, released Barabbas to them, and having scourged him, he delivered Yah-ooh-sha over to be impaled. And the soldiers led him away into the court which is the palace, and they called together the entire company, and decked him with purple. And they formed a crown of thorns, put it on him, and they began to call out to him, "Greetings, King of the Yahudim." And they kept beating him on the head with a reed, and were spitting on him. And bending the knee, they were bowing down to him. And when they had mocked him, they took the purple off him, and put his own clothing on him, and led him out to impale him. And they listed a passerby, Shimon, a Cyrenian, coming from a field, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to bear his stake. And they brought him to the place Golgotha, which is translated, place of a skull. And they were giving him wine mixed with myrrh to drink, but he did not take it. And when they impaled him, they divided his clothing, casting lots for them, what each one should take. And it was the third hour, and they impaled him. And the inscription of his accusation was written above, the king of the Yahudim. And with him they impaled two robbers, and one on his right and the other on his left. And the scripture was filled, which says, and he was reckoned with the lawless. And those passing by were blaspheming him, shaking their heads and saying, Aha, you who destroyed the Mishkan and built it in 3 yomim, deliver yourself and come down from the stake. And likewise the chief priests and the scribes, mocking to one another, said, He delivered others, he is unable to save himself. The Mashiach, the king of Yisrael, come down now from the stake so that we see and believe. And those who were impaled with him were reproaching him. And when the 6th hour came, darkness came over all the land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Yah-ooh-sha cried out with a loud voice, saying, Ali, Ali, lama sabachthani, sabachthani, which is translated, my Al, why have you forsaken me? And some of those standing by, when they heard it, said, See, he is calling for Eliyahu. And someone ran and filled a sponge with sour wine, and put it on a reed, and offered it to him to drink, saying, Leave him, let us see if Eliyahu comes to take him down. And Yah-ooh-sha cried out with a loud voice, and breathed his last. And the veil of the Mishkan was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the captain who was standing opposite him saw that he cried out like this and breathed his last, he said, Truly this man was the son of Elohim. And there were also women watching from a distance, among whom was also Miriam from Magdala, and Miriam the mother of Jacob, the last and of Yosef, and Shalomah, who also followed him and attended him when he was in Galilee, and many other women who came up with him to Jerusalem. And when evening had come, because it was the preparation yom, that is, the yom before the Shabbat, Yosef of Yamatayim, a prominent council member who was himself waiting for the reign of Yahuwah, came, boldly went into Pilate and requested the body of Yah-ooh-sha. But Pilate wondered whether he was already dead, so summoning the captain, he asked him if he was already dead. And when he learned from the captain, he gave the body to Yosef. And he, having bought fine linen, took him down and wrapped him in the linen. And he laid him in a tomb, which had been hewn out of the rock, and rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb. And Miriam from Magdala, and Miriam the mother of Yosef, saw where he was laid. Chapter 16. And after the Shabbat, Miriam from Magdala, and Miriam the mother of Jacob, and Shalomah bought spices to go and anoint him. And very early on the first of the Shabbatut, they came to the tomb when the sun had risen. And they said among themselves, Who shall roll away the stone from the entrance of the tomb for us? And looking up, they saw that the stone had been rolled away, for it was extremely large. And having entered into the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right, wearing a white robe, and they were greatly amazed. And he said to them, Do not be much astonished. You seek Yah-ooh-sha of Nazareth, who was impaled. He was raised, he is not here. See the place where they laid him, and go say to his Talmidim and Kappa that he is going before you into Galilee. You shall see him there, as he said to you. And they went out and ran from the tomb, and were trembling and bewildered. And they spoke to no one, for they were fearful. And resurrecting earlier on the first of the Shabbatut, he appeared initially to Miriam from Magdala, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. She went and reported to those who had been with him, mourning and weeping. And when they heard that he was alive and had been seen by her, they did not believe. And after this he appeared in another form to 2 of them, as they walked and traveled to a village. And they went and reported it to the rest, but they did not believe them either. Later he appeared to the 11 as they sat at the table, and he insulted their unbelief and hardness of heart, because they did not believe those who had seen him after he was raised. And he said to them, Go into all the world and proclaim the Besorah to every creature. He who has believed and has been immersed shall be delivered, but he who has not believed shall be condemned. And these signs shall accompany the ones who believe. In my name they shall cast out demons, they shall speak with renewed tongues, they shall take away serpents, and if they drink any deadly poison, it shall by no means hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall get well. Then indeed, after Adoni had spoken to them, he was received up into the heaven, and sat down at the right hand of Yahuwah. And they went out and proclaimed it everywhere, while Aduni worked with them and confirmed the word through the accompanying signs. Amen. Okay, I'm gonna add. So that was chapter 16. Romans chapter 1. Paul, a servant of Yah-ooh-sha Mashiach, a called emissary, separated to the Besorah of Elohim, which he promised before through his prophets in the Kodesh writings, concerning his son who came of the seed of Daud according to the flesh, who was designated son of Elohim with power, according to the Ruach HaKodesh, by the resurrection from the dead. Yah-ooh-sha Mashiach, Adoni of us, through whom we have received favor and office of the emissary, in obedience to the belief among all the Goyim on behalf of his name, among whom you are also called. You also are the called ones of Yah-ooh-sha Mashiach. To all who are in Rome, beloved of Yahuwah, called Kodeshim, favor to you and peace from Yahuwah our Father and Adoni Yah-ooh-sha Mashiach. First, I truly thank my Elohim through Yah-ooh-sha Mashiach for you all, that your belief is spoken of in all the world. For Elohim is my witness, whom I serve with my Ruach, in the Besorah of his Son, how unceasingly I make mention of you, always asking in my prayers, if at all possible, I shall be blessed by the desire of Yahuwah to come to you. For I long to see you, so as to impart some Ruach-like gift to you, for you to be established, and that is to be encouraged together among you, each by the other's belief, both yours and mine. And I do not wish you to be unaware, brothers, that I often purposed to come to you, but was hindered until now, in order to have some fruit among you, as also among the other Goyim. I am a debtor both to Greeks and to foreigners, both to wise and to foolish. That is why I am so eager to bring the Besorah also to you who are in Rome. For I am not ashamed of the Besorah of Mashiach, for it is the power of Yahuwah for deliverance to everyone who believes, to the Yahudi first, and also to the Greek. For in it the obedience of Yahuwah is revealed from belief to belief, as it has been written, but the obedient shall live by belief. For the wrath of Yahuwah is revealed from heaven against all wickedness and disobedience of men, who suppress the truth in disobedience, because that which is known of Yahuwah is manifest among them, for Yahuwah has manifested it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible qualities have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, both his everlasting power and mightiness, for them to be without excuse, because, although they knew Yahuwah, they did not esteem him as Yahuwah, nor gave thanks, but became vain in their reasonings. And their undiscerning heart was darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, and changed the esteem of the incorruptible Yahuwah into the likeness of an image of corruptible man, and of birds, and of four-footed beasts, and of reptiles. Therefore Yahuwah gave them up to uncleanness in the lust of their hearts, to disrespect their bodies among one another, who changed the truth of Yahuwah into the falsehood, and worshipped and served what was created rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. Because of this, Yahuwah gave them over to degrading passions, for even their women exchanged conventional relations for what is against convention, and likewise the men also, having left conventional relations with women, burned in their lust for one another, men with men committing indecency, and receiving in return the penalty which was due for their straying. And even as they did not think it worthwhile to possess the knowledge of Yahuwah, Yahuwah gave them over to a reprobate mind, to do what is improper, having been filled with all wickedness, whoring, wickedness, greed, evil, filled with envy, murder, fighting, deceit, evil habits, whisperers, slanderers, haters of Yahuwah, insolent, proud, boasters, deviser of evils, disobedient to parents without discernment, covenant breakers, unloving, unforgiving, ruthless, who, though they know the obedience of Yahuwah, that those who practice such deserve death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. Chapter 2. Therefore, O men, you are without excuse, everyone who judges, for in the manner in which you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you who judge practice the same errors. And we know that the judgment of Yahuwah is according to truth against those who practice such errors. And do you think, O men,
You who judge those practicing such errors, and doing the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Yahuwah? Or do you despise the riches of his kindness, and tolerance, and patience, not understanding that the kindness of Yahuwah leads you to repentance? But according to your hardness and your unrepentant heart, you are treasuring up for yourself wrath in the yom of wrath, and revelation of the obedient judgment of Yahuwah, who shall render to each one according to his works. Everlasting life to those who by determination in good work seek for esteem and respect and incorruptibility, but wrath and displeasure to those who are self-seeking and do not obey the truth, but obey disobedience, affliction and distress on every person working what is evil, of the Yahudi initially and also of the Greek, but esteem, respect, and peace to everyone working what is good, to the Yahudi initially and also to the Greek, for there is no partiality with Yahuwah. For as many as sinned without Torah shall also perish without Torah, and as many as sinned in the Torah shall be judged by the Torah. For not the hearers of the Torah are obedient in the sight of Yahuwah, but the doers of the Torah shall be declared right. For when Goyim, who do not have the Torah, by instinct do what is in the Torah, although not having the Torah, they are a Torah to themselves, who show the work of the Torah written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and between themselves their thoughts accusing or even excusing. In the Yom when Yahuwah shall judge the secrets of men through Yah-ooh-sha Mashiach, according to my Besorah. See, you are called a Yahudi, and rest on the Torah, and make your boast in Yahuwah, and know the desire of Yahuwah, and approve what is superior, being instructed out of the Torah, and are trusting that you yourself are a guide to the blind, a light to those who are in darkness, an instructor of foolish ones, a teacher of babes, having the form of knowledge and of the truth in the Torah. You then who teach another, do you not teach yourself? You who proclaim that a man should not steal, do you steal? You who say, do not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? You who abominate idols, do you rob temples? You who make your boast in the Torah, through the transgression of the Torah, do you disrespect Yahuwah? For the name of Yahuwah is blasphemed among the Goyim because of you, as it has been written. For circumcision indeed profits if you practice the Torah, but if you are a transgressor of the Torah, your circumcision has become uncircumcision. So if an uncircumcised one watches over the obediences of the Torah, shall not his circumcision be reckoned as circumcision? And the uncircumcised by appearance who perfects the Torah shall judge you who despise letter and circumcision are a transgressor to the Torah of the Torah. For he is not a Yahudi who is so outwardly, neither is circumcision that which is outward in the flesh, but a Yahudi is he who is so inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in Ruach, not literally, whose praise is not from men, but from Yahuwah. Chapter 3. What then is the advantage of the Yahudi, or what is the value of the circumcision? Much in every way, because firstly indeed, that they were entrusted with the words of Yahuwah. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief nullify the integrity of Yahuwah? Let it not be, but let Yahuwah be true, and every man a liar, as it has been written, that you should be declared right in your words and prevail in your judging. But if our disobedience establishes the obedience of Yahuwah, what shall we say? Is Yahuwah unobedient who is inflicting wrath? I speak as a man. Let it not be. Otherwise, how shall Yahuwah judge the world? For if the truth of Yahuwah has increased through my lie to his esteem, why am I also still judged as a sinner? And why not say, let us do evil so that the good might come? As we are lawlessly accused, and as some claim that we say, their judgment is in the right. What then? Are we better than they? Not at all, for we have previously accused both Yahudim and Greeks that they are all under sin. As it has been written, there is none obedient, no, not one. There is no one who is understanding, there is none who is seeking Yahuwah. They all have turned aside. They have together become worthless. There is none who does good, no, not one. Their throat is an open tomb, with their tongues they have deceived. The poison of adders is under their lips, whose mouth is filled with cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood, ruin and wretchedness are in their ways, and the way of peace they have not known. There is no fear of Yahuwah before their eyes, and we know that whatever the Torah says It says to those who are in the Torah, so that every mouth might be stopped, and all the world come under judgment before Yahuwah. Therefore by works of Torah no flesh shall be declared right before him, for by the Torah is the knowledge of sin. But now, apart from the Torah, an obedience of Yahuwah has been revealed, being witnessed by the Torah and the prophets, and the obedience of Yahuwah is through belief in Yah-ooh-sha Mashiach, to all and on all who believe. For there is no difference, for all have sinned, and fall short of the esteem of Yahuwah, being declared right without paying, by his favor through the redemption which is in Mashiach Yah-ooh-sha, whom Yahuwah set forth as an atonement, through belief in his blood to demonstrate his obedience, because in his tolerance Yahuwah had passed over the sins that had taken place before, to demonstrate at the present time his obedience, that he is obedient and says obedient the one who has belief in Yah-ooh-sha. Where then is the boasting? It is shut out. By what Torah or works? No, but by the Torah of belief. For we reckon that a man is declared right by belief without works of Torah. Or is he the Yahuwah of the Yahudim only, and not also of the Goyim? Yes, of the Goyim also, since it is one Yahuwah who shall declare right the circumcised by belief and the uncircumcised through belief. Do we then nullify the Torah through the belief? Let it not be. On the contrary, we establish the Torah. One more chapter. Chapter 4. What then shall we say Abraham our father hath found according to the flesh? For if Abraham was declared right by works, he has ground for boasting, but not before Yahuwah. For what does the scripture say? Abraham believed Yahuwah, and it was reckoned to him for obedience. And to him who is working, the reward is not reckoned as a favor, but as a debt. And to him who is not working, but believes on him who is declaring right the wicked, his belief is reckoned for obedience, even as David also says of the blessedness of the man to whom Yahuwah reckons obedience without works. Blessed are those whose lawlessnesses are forgiven, and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man to whom Yahuwah shall by no means reckon sin. And this blessing then upon the circumcised only? Is this blessing then upon the circumcised only, or also upon the uncircumcised? For we affirm, belief was reckoned to Abraham for obedience. How then was it reckoned? Being in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the obedience of the belief, while in uncircumcision, for him to be a father of all those believing through uncircumcision, for obedience to be reckoned to them also, and the father of circumcision to those who not only are of the circumcision, but who also walk in the steps of the belief which our father Abraham had in uncircumcision. For the promise that he should be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the Torah, but through an obedience of belief. For if those who are of the Torah are heirs, belief has been made useless, and the promise has been nullified. For the Torah works out wrath, for where there is no Torah there is no transgression. On account of this it is of belief that it be according to favor, for the promise to be made certain to all the seed, not only to those who are of the Torah, but also to those who are of the belief of Abraham, who is parent of us all. As it has been written, I have made you a father of many Goyim, in the presence of him whom he believed, even Yahuwah, who gives life to the dead and calls that which does not exist as existing, who against all expectation did believe, in expectation so that he should become father of many Goyim, according to what was said. So shall your seed be. And not having grown weak in belief, he did not consider his own body already dead, being about 100 years old. And the deadness of Sarah's womb, he did not hesitate about the promise of Yahuwah through unbelief, but was strengthened in belief, giving his esteem to Yahuwah, and being completely persuaded that what he had promised, he was also able to do. Therefore also it was reckoned to him for obedience. And not because of him alone was it written that it was reckoned to him, but also because of us, to whom it shall be reckoned, to us who believe in him, who raised up Yah-ooh-sha, our Adonai, from the dead, who was delivered up because of our offenses, and was raised for us to be declared right. Okay, thank you very much. Namaste. In King Yah-ooh-sha's name, God bless you all. Amen. Namaste.